Hey everybody, this is Jay Nanda, San Antonio Metal Music Examiner here, down in the bowels of the Majestic Theater here on September 20th, 2011. Queensryche is about to take the stage in a couple of hours on their very special 30th anniversary tour, and we are having the pleasure of being here with easily a vocalist who should be on the short list of any great vocalist out there of all time, Mr. Geoff Tate. How are you?
Wonderful lead-in.
It's very true. Thank you for taking the time to do this. Of course, as I said, 30th anniversary. You guys have a long history here with San Antonio. Had the pleasure of doing a phoner with you last August before the Cabaret tour, and we talked then about it. And I believe you told me then that San Antonio was the second or third show Queensryche has ever played. Can you kind of expand on
yeah,
the history?
It was the third show we'd ever performed. Okay. Yeah, our first was the Paramount in Portland, and the Paramount in Seattle, and our third show was San Antonio.
So just give me a little, is it a love affair with the city? You have a long history with San Antonio. I know you guys love being here. Just going back over the years, what sticks out the most?
Well, it's a wonderful city. It's a city that supports the arts, as you can tell by the evidence of these fantastic theaters downtown, and we have musical productions all year long, and the city supports that, sure. And the populace supports it. So it's a place where people are comfortable and they celebrate music. Other parts of the country and the world you go to, it doesn't have them. So this is a really special place, and we feel very, very comfortable here, and we feel that people appreciate our music, so we like to keep coming back and playing.
Does it feel, out of all the world traveling, the thousands of shows you guys have played, does it feel like 30 years?
No. Well, some days when you're rolling out of that funk, if you've been on a 12-hour bus ride, yeah, it feels a little uncomfortable. But no, and it's gone by real fast. In fact, none of us had recognized the fact that it had been 30 years till one of our friends brought it up in last year, saying, hey, this is your 30-year anniversary coming up. What are you guys going to do? And we thought, well, 30 years? Has it been that long? What are we going to do?
Yeah. And the day we talked on the phone, I had asked you about progress of the new album. And you said, as a matter of fact, Jay, I'm driving to the studio right now. We're working on some music. And of course, that album turned out to be dedicated to Chaos. It's been out for about 3 or 4 months now, I think. 12th studio album. First impressions, obviously, it's a lot different than some of the early stuff. But I know you have gone on record. You've made it well documented that Queensryche is all about evolving as artists, as musicians. Just now that it's been out a few months, what are your impressions now that you're playing it live? How's the reaction to the new songs been?
Oh, really good, really good. As good as new songs get when it comes to a reaction. Usually it takes a round of playing a tour before people really gel with the new record. You're hitting them for the first time all the time, so they're hearing really unfamiliar material. So the next time you go to the city and you play that song or a song off the record, they're more familiar with it and they react.
Sure.
Of course, but yeah, real positive. I've been feeling really good about it. Because this is our 30th anniversary, we're not necessarily focusing on the new album. We're playing a couple tracks, or we're playing tracks from all of our different records to give people kind of a retrospective on where Queensryche has been.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite song or two off the new album?
I love all of them. Yeah, all for different reasons.
Yeah.
When you create something and you're part of the writing on a song, it becomes very dear to you. So it's hard to pick a favorite, but you like them all.
When the album first came out, I know I was checking out the Queensryche Facebook page, and there seemed like a lot of backlash from your diehard fans, who, I don't know, I wanted to put it to you this way. Do you find that a lot of your fans, every time you guys make a new record, want the next Empire, want the next Mindcrime, and it's a challenge as an artist? Or do you feel like, some of these fans had a hard time accepting at first? Maybe it's growing on them now, but maybe when the album first came out, they had a hard time accepting the direction it was going in?
Well, the only album that we haven't ever received critical response from was our first one, because it had nothing to compare it to. So every album we release always gets released into a swarm of controversy, which is good. I think that's what art should do. It shouldn't be complacent, and it definitely shouldn't be repeating itself. It should be evolving and moving ahead, and that's the philosophy we've always had. We haven't changed in that regard. We just really need and have to keep exploring our musical capabilities as a band. We wouldn't do it anymore if we couldn't experiment churning out the hits, playing the same songs over and over and over again. And that really gets tedious, you know. So I don't know how bands do it. Like they stop making new music and they just play what they've already written years ago. I don't know how they do that. I don't think we can do that. Well, at this point, maybe I might change my mind in 5 years. I don't know, but at this point, I really can't see us doing that.
Well, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, tonight, as we said, 30th anniversary, the band has been around that long. So they must be doing something right. And another question I wanted to ask you in regards to the anniversary is obviously the four of you, Eddie, Michael, Scott, and yourself, have been at it from the beginning when that's almost unheard of nowadays from bands that have either been around since the 80s or that have been around only 10 years or so. There are so many lineup changes. What is the secret to the 4 of your guys' success, friendship, relationship, sustaining this long?
Blackmail.
Who's got the biggest dirt on who?
Yeah, right. You know, really, it's something that was very simple. We recognized it early on when we first got together. We all are very open musically to trying different things. We all had huge record collections when we came into the band, and we're all referencing all this different music that we liked. And it covered everything from, you know, early Iron Maiden, Blue Cheer, to Fleetwood Mac, to Carly Simon, to Liberace. You know, we had classical influences. Coltrane, the jazz area was a huge influence on us. And so you take all those different musical influences and you go, wow, well, everybody's very open-minded. You know, you can find something in a song that you can appreciate. You know, so I want to be with these guys because they get it. You know, and so we've always been on this kind of path of experimentation since the beginning. And so we share that, and we cherish it, and we relish it, and protect it, and we keep it going.
Yeah, and you know, just wanted to ask you as well, speaking about covers and the influences, you know, on Take Cover, you range everywhere from Heaven and Hell to The Police. You recently, this year, were on the Frank Sinatra tribute album, Summer Wind. I know obviously other metal singers such as Joey Belladonna from Anthrax and some others were on there. How did that whole project come about? How did you get the call, or who did you get the call from? How was that song chosen? Can you kind of talk about that whole process?
Yeah. I'm blanking on the name of the man that put this thing together now. Bob Kulick.
Okay.
Can edit that.
Bruce's brother.
Yeah, Bruce's brother,
yeah.
Bob. I've done a couple projects with him in the past. And he was backstage at one of our shows in California a couple years ago. He goes, I got a new project, Frank Sinatra. What do you think? I said, count me in, because I'm a Frank fan.
Yeah.
So about a year later, he sent me a track. He goes, what do you think of this? And it was Summer Wind. I said, I'm on it. You know, I'll be part of it. I love Frank, and hearing Bob's version of that was cool. You know, being part of it was great.
Right. And of course, I wanted to ask you a little bit about Ronnie James Dio. Of course, it's well documented. If you haven't seen my, if you're watching this video, I will include a link to the phone interview I did with Geoff that talks in depth about Queensryche and Ronnie James Dio, so I don't want to repeat all that today. But I do want to ask you about the, going back to the Hearing Aid Project. You guys go way back from that era in time, basically when you had just started out with the band for a couple of years or so, maybe not even. Do you have any stories to tell about how that project came about, your involvement with it, and just any recollection from all the musicians that were taking part in it?
Yeah, well, Ronnie called me up, and I had known him previously because he had invited us on a European tour, our first tour ever, and he was very good to us, and we became friends. And so he called me up and said, I'm doing this project, would you get involved? And of course I said yes. And so I flew down to LA, and I was really young and very new to the business, and I was familiar with the songs. He'd sent me a tape of it, and so he invited me into the control room, and when I walked in there were all these incredible rock musicians in there, and everybody watched as I walked out into the big room to sing, you know, and I look back and there's the window you can see, and there's, you know, Rob Halper's there, and Ted Nugent, and Neil Schon, a bunch of other people that I can't remember right now. And Ronnie goes, okay, so I see that you're looking in here, and you're probably feeling pretty intimidated because of all the names that are in here and all the talent. But don't let that bother you. just sing from your heart, you know. And I was pretty nervous at the time, but it was a real fun experience to be part of it, and I'm very proud to be part of it.